We used to live in a 4-story house. We moved about 9 months ago. The other day I went to the old house to give my bicycle that was left in the old house to the neighbor's son. We were like a family with our downstairs neighbor. We had been living like one house for 10 years. When he saw me, he said, "Let's have coffee." I said okay as usual. She was the first sexy woman I saw in my life. She always wore thin pajamas. This always turned me on. I don't need to tell you about her buttocks and her missile-like breasts. She was already a harmonious woman, a chubby brunette bombshell. Although she always turned me on, she was always like a big sister to me. After sitting for a while, she said I should go to the restroom. I said okay. In the meantime, the devil poked me. I got up. My heart was pounding. I looked under the toilet door with a little disgust. It was a magnificent view for me. Although I was 19 years old and very handsome and had been involved in sports for many years, I had never touched a girl's hand and I was a virgin. So you see, the horniness was already at its peak. I couldn't get a clear picture anyway. While I was taking a shit, the door suddenly opened and I didn't understand when it got up. I was caught with my head on the ground. The brazenness was at its peak. Before I could say that, I dropped my phone card and I was looking for it. Hazal Abla told me, "I've known you for 10 years, you're not looking for a card or anything." I went on top of it so that we were already fucked up. "Yes," I said, "I was looking at you from underneath." When he said, "What did you see?" I said it wasn't very clear. I said I would like to see it more clearly. After a great laugh, he asked me what, so should I open it and show it? I said why not? When he realized that I was serious, I looked at him and he let the sails down. "I saw you once when I got out of the shower, and when I sat down," he said, "yours looked pretty bad between the towels. When she said you show me first and then I'll show you," I said open it yourself. Again, after a great laugh, she said I like it and started to untie my belt. I was already melting, my boxers were already soaked and my cock had reached its maximum size. Hazal was shocked when she saw my cock. There was a moment of silence, then after a laugh she said, "What hidden treasures you have." I started to take it and bring it to her mouth. She said, "What are you doing?" But after I put it in her mouth, muffled sounds came out. I couldn't take it anymore. I exploded in his mouth. I thought he would be angry, but he made my cock, which was a little bent, straight again as if nothing had happened. Before I could say it was my turn, she did a backflip and suddenly stripped off her pajamas. Suddenly, when I saw her immaculate, big, gorgeous pussy in front of me, I couldn't stand it and started licking it voraciously. At first I felt a little nauseous, it was wet, but then I got used to it. Soon enough, she screamed that she had had enough. "Come inside me." I did what she said without delay. I was going back and forth so fast that the sound is still in my ears. She was moaning too. For a woman in her 30s and 35s, her pussy was very tight or her husband's cock was very small. Anyway, let's get back to the subject. I got carried away like this for a minute or two and I said, "Do what you can while I have the opportunity." I immediately lay down on the floor. I was always interested in porn. I got on top of me. I said, "Freak, how her tits bounce every time she jumps." I couldn't stand her for a moment. I took her under me again and accelerated, and when I said I was coming, she was able to say take it off. I saw her sweating that much for the first time. As soon as I took it off, it squirted on top of him, in his face. I looked at this and he took it in his mouth again, and I had the explosion of 19 years. Of course, it was like a stone again in seconds. He said enter from behind, and I thought he must have done it before, so he said so. First I licked it a little. I was enjoying it, thinking that maybe I would never see such an ass again. I looked at it, it softened a little. I put his head in, and it started to make these sounds. I asked him what was going on and he said, "This is my first husband," and I was so aroused that I suddenly put a root in it and a thin sound came out. He couldn't scream, but he was trying to get out from under me in case people heard him. I didn't let go. I started going back and forth. This one was scratching my legs. Slowly she got used to it, and suddenly she stopped like a dog and started going back and forth fast. I just hugged her and enjoyed it. I played with her tits and her pussy. Suddenly her voice started to tremble. She was shaking herself, and when she stopped going back and forth, I realized what was happening. I grabbed her tightly and entered her pussy, bending and twisting in my hand. Every time, he was thrusting in and out of her cunt and coming. Finally she relaxed, looked at me and said, "Come, my love, let me give you a good wash." We went into the bathroom and made love again. When we left the house, we never talked about it. We agreed that no one would know, and we often continued to live this memory of sex. For more confession stories, subscribe to my channel and don't forget to comment.